what's going
Hey,
on?
Tara, I'm having the worst day ever.
No way. What's the matter?
So I was working on this project and I was super excited and I wasn't paying attention, and while I was cutting my project, I accidentally cut the bottom of my favorite bag.
Oh, it's kind of useless.
I know, and I don't want to throw it out because it's my favorite bag.
Oh, well, did you know we could repair it with our sewing machine at the Makerspace, at the Half Hollow Hills Makerspace sewing machine.
I never thought of that.
That's a good idea, right?
That's awesome.
Yep. So I will bring it into the Makerspace. I will show you, and then we'll have a little meeting afterwards. Okay?
Fantastic.
All right. Thank you. So welcome to How It Works. We're going to learn about how to use a sewing machine today. I'd like to give you a little tour of it. Most machines, all the machines that I know about, usually come with a two-strand power outlet, and there's usually a plug that only fits into the sewing machine like this. So we'll plug it in first, and one side goes to the power outlet, the other side goes to a foot pedal, and the foot pedal will go on the floor. So we'll plug it in. All right, and then the back of the machine also has a light switch, or an on-off switch actually. But an easy way to know that it's on is when you press it and the light goes on. All right, so I'm going to turn the machine around a little bit and turn it on so that you can see the light going on. And we will start to learn the parts of the machine. All right, there are many parts. There's sewing machines that are on the market now are so much easier than they used to be. But they are still a little complex, and they will work well when you know how to handle them well. So they always come with a book of instructions, and if you're coming to the library, we will certainly help you with hands-on. So this is a Singer machine. There are many other models on the market, and I have a Brother machine at home, but they're mostly all the same. Once you become familiar with one machine, you usually can find your way around any other machine that are on the market. So what we need to do are look at the different parts of the machine. Up top, I'm going to turn it off while I show you around. Up top, we have the horizontal spool pin, and I will show you what we're going to do with that when we have to fill up a bobbin. Because there's two parts of the thread that when the machine needs to work, where they interlock back and forth. So there's a top and a bottom. There's the bobbin winding spindle, also here, and you push that up and down to when you're going to wind a bobbin. All right, there's a hole for the auxiliary spool pin, and that's here. If you use two spools, but we are not going to be doing that for a long while. There's the hand wheel, and you can see here it makes the needle go up and down. Okay, and that's how you adjust it carefully before you start sewing. There's a bobbin thread guide, and that is up here, all right, and it's a little bit flexible so that the thread will be flexible and not snap. There's the upper thread guide, and that's also up here, and you can see here it tells you which way the thread is going to go. Then there's the faceplate, which is here. Okay, and they used to open up, but they don't open up the way that they used to. You can pull it off, but for our purposes, we don't need to do that right now. There's also the handle, which is here, and that's how you can move it around the table, or when you're done sewing, you can store it in its box and put it away. There's a presser foot lifter, and that's back here. And that goes up and down. All right, so when you're moving your material back and forth or up and down, you can, or you need to turn it around, you press the foot or presser foot up and down. Okay? There's also, there's a foot speed control. So since it's on, I'll turn it on, and I'll just give you a little idea how it works. So as you're pressing it, if you press it hard, it'll go fast. If you press it soft, and this is with your foot, you don't, this is going to be on the floor, so you can control it with your foot. All right, but you'll get the hang of it after using it for a little while. You'll see what kind of pressure you need to make the needle and thread go. So now what I'm going to do is we'll show you how to thread the bobbin. So when the presser foot is up, you can see the needle needs to be up, and down here is the bobbin, and here's an empty bobbin, and I'm going to fill the bobbin with thread, and that's all done automatically on the machine, and I will show you how we do that. So I have my thread, and I'm going to put it on the spindle spool, and here's a cap for it to keep it from flying off. So it kind of locks the thread, the spool of thread, onto the spindle. And then here's my bobbin, and I'm going to thread the bobbin. See that it has two holes, and I'm going to thread it through the small hole. There are two holes, and one is small and one is big. I'm going to thread it through the smaller hole that's more on the outside of the bobbin. So there we go. I got the thread through the bobbin. So I'm just going to wrap it, hold it down with my finger up top and wrap it around once or twice. And then I pop it onto the bobbin spindle, and there's a little click, and I'm going to switch it, push it up, so that the bobbin knows that it's going to be filling up. And then I can do it right here with the foot pedal. There we go. And you want it to have nice, tight thread. And there you go. You fill it up. And then when you're done, then you can pop it off and pull it off. And then you snip it. And back here on the back of the sewing machine, there's a little knife, a little cutter for just snipping a piece of thread. Just like that. So there we go. We have a filled bobbin that I'm going to install in the bottom of the machine, in the bobbin case. All right, so let's go. Going to insert the bobbin right into the case. So then the threading is pretty self-guided. It has all of the instructions along the top of the machine. So here it is again on the spindle. I'm going to lock it on. I'm going to take the end of the thread And it shows the guide here. Number 1 goes under here, and it just slips under like this. And then it goes into number 2 and down like this. And then 3, you can see 3 pulls it down. Okay, and then 4 goes up. And then this part is a little tricky, so you have to pull the foot up and down, because there's a mechanism inside the machine that grab the thread. Actually, let me turn it around. I can't do it backwards. All right, so the thread is down. There we go. I got it in. And you can see here, I got it slipped in here. So that's number 3. And then 5 goes down. It shouldn't be out, actually. It'll go down. And then 4. And then 5. And then 6 goes down around here. And then I'm going to thread the needle. And that is a tricky part. The needle has a hole in it, and I'm sorry, but it's too small to show on the video. From front to back, pull it through. So now I'm going to drop the bobbin in, right into the bobbin case. And then with the foot of the, with the wheel of the machine, I push it down, and it's going to grab the thread from the bottom, and there's the bobbin thread. So I have the 2 pieces of thread, the top and the bottom, one that goes through the needle and one's at the bottom in the bobbin. And there's a little case that I can snap in to keep everything where it should be. All right, so there we go. And just for some practice sewing, I'm going to snip off the edges a little bit. It's always good to have a pair of scissors close by when you're sewing. You'll learn that. And there we go. The machine is now threaded. I'm going to find some fabric and show you the different things on the machine. All right, so I want to show you some of the different stitches that we can do on this machine. I'm going to use some black fabric so that the stitches show up a little easier with the light thread and the black fabric. But first, let's go over the different parts of stitching. We've already threaded the machine, so we know how to do that. What we're going to do is choose a thread pattern. And there's a lot of elements that go into a thread pattern. This is a pattern selector dial. Here's the pattern selector dial. Sorry. See here, there's different types of thread patterns. Zigzag, loose zigzag, tight zigzag. There are all kinds of patterns that are required for different kind of sewing projects. Okay? Then the other thing is and I'm just reading the instructions so that I don't miss anything and I get it right. So there's also a needle position dial, and that one is right here, all right? And if you look down here, I'm going to push this needle position, and it says it right there. Oops, needle position. And if you look at the needle, you can see it's going to move around. See, it's kind of hard to see. And I apologize about that, but maybe this is better. All right. So if you look closely, you can see that it moves slightly. All right. And that means that it's moving to the left or to the right or to the middle. And for our purposes, we're going to have it right in the middle. So the thread will, it'll just go to the middle, not to the left or to the right. All right. And again, that depends on your sewing project, what needle position you're going to require. Then there's also the stitch width dial and the stitch length dial. So the stitch width dial is here, all right? And this tells you or lets you know if you want to have a narrow stitch, set it to 0, or to maximum width, then set it to 6, or actually 4. We only have, this one's a different machine. Then the other part is going to be the needle pattern. There's also a function of a stitch length dial for when you're stitching, straight stitching. And there are different names of stitching, and where, if you see here, oops, you can't see here. Okay, and if you see here, this gives the stitching length and width for when straight stitching, okay? So there's a lot of elements, again, that depends on the sewing project, what kind of fabric you have, what your goals are for the sewing, if you want it to be tight, if you want it to be loose, that you'll learn as you sew along, all right? So let's set it up. So we have our needle threaded, we have our bobbin in. We're going to select a straight stitch to begin. All right, so we're going to set the stitch length between 2 and 3. So right now it's at 2, so I'll just move it up a little bit. Then we're going to sew the down here see, it's a straight stitch. All right, and then it's a little hard because I'm backwards, but I'm trying to make it work. All right, so I have a piece of fabric. I'm going to just sew the different stitches along the way. All right, so I slip it under the pressure foot. All right, and then press it down, and then place my foot on the presser pedal and gently start to sew. There we go. It's kind of crooked, but you can get the idea. It takes a little practice to make a nice straight stitch, but this is a zigzag stitch, and this is the other side of it. And you can see where I kind of slowed down, and it didn't go evenly. But that's okay. That's why we're practicing, and I suggest that everybody who's watching learn how to practice, or learn by practicing. Don't take your beautiful fabric that's very special to you or costs a lot of money and then ruin it because you really aren't familiar with your machine. Make sure you get to be familiar with your machine, learn how it works, learn how much pressure you need, learn the thread thread patterns. All right, let's try another one just because it's practicing, okay? So I'll do a little bit of a tighter tension. So it's going up to almost 1. All right, I'm going to leave the needle position at the same time, and I'm going to make the width also a little narrower. All right, so I'm moving the wheels down. I'm pushing my fabric under the pressure foot. I'm going to start from this side. I'm going to push it down, and then I'll feed it with by hand, and then we will start to use our foot to start sewing. And you can see here the thread went kind of, I wasn't holding it tight, so it kind of moved itself over to the side. But you can see it has a much smaller thread count per inch. All right, but it's nice and tight, and I didn't miss any threads back there. So that's it. And from here, we will try to fix our bag that Liz and I were talking about. how to fix it. And I'm going to leave it in this kind of stitching because I think that'll be a fine stitch to fix our damaged bag that we're going to repair. So I'm back at the makerspace. I'm going to try to repair Liz's bag. Somehow or another the bottom got cut off. So I'm going to, the way to repair it, the proper way to sew is to turn your fabric inside out so that the two outsides are together. And I'm just going to run it up on the machine. All right, and I'm not going to turn the machine around because then I won't really be able to sew that well. So as I showed you in the with the black felt, I'm going to push the foot down, the presser foot, and I'm going to make sure the needle goes in by hand, and then I'm going to press the controller with my foot, and I'm going to be holding on to it so that the fabric goes in straight and I can keep control of it. And here we go. There we go. I lift up the presser foot. I'm going to use the wheel with my hand, pull out the thread. I'm going to grab my scissors and snip the thread. All right. And here is the bottom of the bag, the bag that with the bottom cut out, and you can see the thread. And what I'm going to do to make it nice and sturdy is I'm going to do 2 rows of threading, of sewing. So I'll do it right again, pulling out the thread so that there's enough. And then I'm going to kind of just go along the same line that I already did, just so that we know that it's secure for the bottom, since it is the bottom of a bag, and a lot of times these bags get filled. And there we go. I have 2 rows of sewing along the bottom of the bag, and I'm going to turn, actually I'm going to cut off all this excess thread. There we go, and then I'll pull it inside out, pull it out, outside, back, out. And now we have a repaired bag, and we don't have to throw it out, and it's useful again. All right. So there we go. I can't wait to show Liz. Liz?
Hey, Tara.
So I sewed up your bag, so now you can use it again.
Oh,
Look
my
at this.
goodness.
Yeah.
Oh, it's like brand new.
It is brand new. So here's your bag back.
Thank you so much. This is such a great resource the library
It
has.
really is a great resource that the library has. And I'd be happy, we'll all be happy. We're all learning how to use the machine, and we'll be setting up classes and helping you. You can repair items, or we can make some new things using old stuff. That'll be awesome. So thank you very much for letting me show you the machine.
And thank you for showing me.
You are so welcome.